Clip after, please.
Sure. Good morning. For the sake of completeness, I'm going to be looking down here at the.
Could you give us your name, please?
My name is Philip Jankowski.
Thank you.
And I direct the Blue Sky Center, which is a nonprofit that's organized up in the Cuyama Valley, outside the town site of New Cuyama. And so I'm just going to read a statement here for you. Hope you can hear me. You know, the hearing this morning is pretty straightforward in terms of what the work that the county staff has done. We, support the negative declaration, but just wanted to raise some issues issues and opportunities in the Cuyama Valley. The Blue Sky Center consists of 22,000 square feet of buildings, 4,000 foot private runway, and 300 acres of alluvial farmland. Excuse me, I'll move this up closer. Our objective is to provide an innovative rural destination to entrepreneurs, artists, architects, researchers, and agriculturists and educators to converge and utilize the center for advancing environmental sustainability through practice, the benefits of which we hope extend beyond the county. A few of our planned programs consist of architectural design build fellowship, flagship regenerative farm, and artists determine themselves and be a destination for places of innovation and experimentation. I've shared with the county staff some ordinances drafted in Marin County and Sonoma County that might be of note, and I just wanted to highlight a few of the limiting factors related more towards the land use development code. One is in the realm of severe shortage of housing and tight restrictions on new housing construction that prevents growth and improvements in the region. As a destination that could be a benefit of new housing stock, I think that's something that we need to look into. The prohibited residential uses for our particular industrial commercial space currently prohibits the adaptive reuse of these commercial spaces for live-work arrangements for charitable purposes such as research fellowships or artist studios or rotating residency programs, things that would inject some life into the community. And and then the narrow and outdated land use code doesn't really allow for kind of 21st century research applications that might be utilized out there at the facility, such as composting toilets for gray water research or regenerative farming research, carbon farming research. Now, I recognize these issues extend beyond the auspices of the County Planning Commission, but we met with all the Board of Supervisors, county staff, all the way up and down the chain. So I just want to offer my availability to meet, talk more about these issues in person, open a dialogue for potential public-private partnerships up there, and just explain in more detail what we have planned and shed some more light on the good things happening up there and commend the work that the county is already doing to help modernize the code. So thank you.
Thank you. Would you make sure you fill out a speaker slip, and Commissioner Brown has a question for you.
I have a question actually for staff based upon his comments.
Okay.
I have actually a question for staff.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It almost sounds like what this gentleman is interested in is a long-range work program for this sustainable living research project. I just make that comment since I don't know what you're going to do with his comments or if you're thinking about it. But
Commissioner Brown, through the chair, I would agree with you.
Yeah, okay.
And as you recall in the work program, that was something that was
Right.
added to the
Right.
long-term future project list.
Right.
There's also efforts going on in the city of Goleta and the city of Santa Barbara
Right.
that we'll be monitoring, and we will be bringing that item back in next year's work
Good.
program.
I just
for
hope that maybe
consideration.
he kind of knew that connection that was already in there.
And we have been coordinating together, and
Okay,
we'll
great.
continue to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Seeing no other speaker slips, we'll close public comment and move on to commissioner questions. Oh, okay, yes, come on up. And then after you speak, please fill out a form and turn it in, please.
Well, my name is James Kotsabar, and I'm co-owner of Chaotic Exotics Orchid Nursery. We're 8 acres, a little over 8 acres between between Lompoc and Buellton and the Santa Rita Hills. And right now, we have been zoned Ag 100. They're eliminating that, or you are choosing to do away with that. And I was wondering if it's possible to subdivide. We have complete meters for everything, 2 double meters for gas, electric, water. It just seems logical to divide it into 2 properties. There's one house on it now. I called yesterday and they said, well, you've just been granted the right to build another home on your property, but a 2-home property doesn't quite make sense. Subdivided makes more sense, and I'm just wondering if that will be allowable. They said that there was an issue because they don't want smaller parcels, but there are some 2-acre parcels in the same street, in the same area. And we're neither the largest nor the smallest, and dividing us in half will still make us not the smallest. And I'm just wondering if that's a feasible thing that can happen, if we would be able to subdivide our property. Because it's mostly agricultural. It's in the wine region of the Santa Rita Hills. And it was a former Christmas tree farm, so it was set up for agriculture. We've operated our orchid nursery, but not really used the land. And now it just seems logical to grow the community by dividing that land and having another home available. Is that something that can happen?
I don't think that's a question you're going to get answered here today. Ms. Black?
Mr. Chair, I think Jessica can respond to the commission if you'd like at the conclusion of public comment.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so are you done?
I'll get an answer from Jessica then?
No guarantees, but
oh, okay.
if you're done, you're okay. Make sure you turn in a
Thank
speaker
you.
slip, please. Thank you. Now we'll close the public comment, and then I'll ask the question, Ms. Metzger.
Chairman, Commissioners, so this property is currently zoned in 661-100 AG. It's one of the properties that we looked at with the AAC subcommittee to form into an EDRN because it does have many existing dwellings. You can see it in this khaki color here. So we have proposed that it go down to Ag 110. Ag 110 is a 10-acre minimum lot size. And in Ag 110, you're also allowed a residential second unit, which he's not currently allowed in 661. That's what he was referring to about the 2 dwellings. But we did not look at, through this process, changing the zoning so more people across the county could subdivide. And already he's going to the EDRN, which affords him more options than many people that are staying in Ag 2-100 or Ag 240.
How many acres is his parcel?
I believe it's 8. Is that? 8.61.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, deliberations? How would you like to proceed?
I have a question, if I could.
Yes, Dan. Commissioner Blau.
I'm glad to hear that there was such great noticing for all the property owners, but my concern is how many parcels are we zoning that are now going to be illegal non-conforming kind of deal? It's one of my pet peeves. I don't like to take a 20-acre piece and zone it Ag 200 or Ag 2-100. So are there many that we're making non-conforming, or did we try and make them all conforming?
Through the chair, Commissioner Blau, we haven't calculated how many parcel size fall below what we are zoning them, but due to the fact that we really looked at doing comparable zones, they would be going from 100 AG and 661 to 100. So they might have already been non-conforming in parcel size, and that's something we could do, that exercise, with our GIS department.
Yes, Ms.
Well, if I
Lass.
could continue, well, I think as I looked through the list of parcels, I think I saw a lot of them that were 40 acres, and now it's going to be Ag 2-100. Now, you don't actually give me the exact parcel size. You sort of give me a table that says what the uses are, but how many of the Ag 40s are going to Ag 100s is my question. And I think I saw one correspondence that was emailed to me yesterday where there was some discussion about that.
Through the chair, Commissioner Blau, I do have a map of the Taurus property, if that would assist in our discussion. I can pull that up. So this is the area where that letter in question was written about. The Tauruses own two properties, this one here that's 107 acres and this one here that's 47 acres. As you can see on this map, all of the dark green is 661 land and it's zoned 100 AG. And then the white, of course, like the other maps, is already in the Land Use Development Code, zoned Ag 2-100. They are requesting that this 47-acre parcel be given the designation of Ag 240 instead of Ag 2-100. Reviewing our criteria that we set up through this process, staff did not agree with that due to the fact that it would create an island of that Ag 240 surrounded by Ag 2-100 and would be considered spot zoning. Furthermore, Ag 2-100 versus Ag 240, the uses are exactly the same. So all you're allowing that person to do would be to subdivide. And so that 107-acre parcel could be subdivided into two.
Ms. Black.
Mr. Chair, I think Jessica said this, but I think the important thing here is the parcel right now is zoned 100 AG. So even if they wanted to try and subdivide under the current 661 zoning, they could not do so. So this one was a very straightforward translation from 100 AG to Ag 2-100.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks.
Okay, we're going on then to other topics at this point. Okay. I'd like to hear, we have approximately 780,000 acres that's covered in today's action. And we have the environmental document. As far as, I see it's going to work very much, I think, in helping agriculturalists. But then part of it is also, there will be approximately 450 new housing units. Could you just explain that and, how that was dealt with in the environmental document? So, people will want to say, well, is this going to be growth inducing? Are we saving, agriculture here? So I'd like to hear a little bit more about the housing units that now will be, let's say, legalized, or the potential for the 450 housing units.
Through the chair, Commissioner Brooks, the first portion of those new housing units that are facilitated through this change have to do with 661 zoning that is currently in U, or unlimited agriculture. The U zone in 661 does not allow any structure, any dwelling, to be built on a property less than 10 acres. In the LUDC zone, you're allowed to have a dwelling on any parcel that is valid as long as it meets other standards with development review. So 233 parcels exist in the U zone that are under 10 acres, so they would be allowed to apply for a dwelling. And so that was the first analysis in the negative declaration. The second is actually the example that I showed in Campbell Road. The EDRNs that were formed across the county that kind of pocketed those existing rural neighborhoods, went down to a zoning district that would allow a residential second unit. So those zoning districts in the LUDC are Ag 1-5, Ag 110, and Ag 120. And so out of that, there was 213 parcels that could apply for a residential second unit. Once again, keeping in mind they still have standards about that unit and the property size and where it can be situated that they would have to comply with. We didn't go and look on a parcel by parcel basis at that level because this is programmatic. And so total new units that could be facilitated through this change would be 446. Yet, they would still have to have services, they would still have to look at development review standards, so they're also spread out across the county and not in one area. The only area that they're really not in is the South Coast because the U zone and the ADRNs are more rural areas.
Commissioner Cooney.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to sound hasty about this, but to me, looking through the staff report and hearing the presentation today, this process started quite a long time ago and has been extensively reviewed in various fora with the public, and I believe the lack of a comment that we've heard from the public suggests that it is well understood and generally to the advantage of everyone who's affected. So I'm prepared to approve this action to the extent we have recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. And I'm not sure if there is anything further to discuss up here, but more than willing to do that, but I'm ready to go forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Yeah, I would support that as a second, and I would just like to make the additional comment that I see Mr. Van Leer's in the audience today. He was a member of the AAC, looked at this project over a substantial period of time, and to thank him and other members of the AAC who participated in that effort. And also to recognize staff. I think you did a really outstanding job. It's a very detailed, time-consuming effort to compile all this information and to work with the public, and I think you did a great job, so thank you. So I'm ready to support the project.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes, thank you, Chair Farini. I, too, am ready to move forward on this. I did have 2 conversations with Ms. Metzger, and thank you so much for your time and all the explanations that you gave me. I see it as, very much in favor, and it supports agriculture, and that is our number 1 priority here, is to preserve agriculture. And I think now that I know, how much effort and time went in, from the AAC, that made me feel much more comfortable with this. So I am also ready to move forward.
Okay, so we have Commissioner Cooney's motion.
Oh, can I make a comment?
Oh, Dan, Commissioner Blau, go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and support the project. I wasn't planning on it when I first got here this morning, based on the fact that I just abhor this idea of making a zone change to a parcel and making it non-conforming when it might have been conforming before. I also don't like non-conforming parcels. Seems to me that if we take for example, if it's an 8-acre parcel, I think the zoning should be an 8-acre parcel, so it's not legal non-conforming. Because believe it or not, that does cause some problems occasionally when it comes to financing and other issues. Some lenders don't get it. But based on the fact you've not got anybody complaining about it or making comment about it, there's plenty of other reasons to support this project. But I really wish we could not do that. In fact, it's a question for county council. I mean, I think if we take that one parcel and zone it for a 40-acre parcel, for the fact it's 47 acres, I think the logic behind that is it exists. You know, at some point in time, the zoning was changed on that made it non-conforming. Why would we want to do that? What's the benefit? And I don't see that as being a spot zoning. If I'm taking an existing parcel and giving it that zone because it's that size created maybe 100 years ago, I don't believe that's spot zoning, but maybe I'm wrong.
So, Chair and Commissioners, spot zoning is often defined as taking a small parcel that's restricted and giving it less rights than the surrounding property, or taking that parcel and giving it more rights than the surrounding property. And courts look unfavorably towards spot zoning. So although the Commission has great discretion in legislative decisions, you are bound to make some uniform decisions in regards to zoning and try to avoid spot zoning where you can.
Then I'll make my final comment. I'm going to go ahead and support this, but I think what I'm going to do is communicate to my supervisor that I'm not happy with that, and he can decide for himself whether he wants to give staff directions to change it. But I really do think we should be looking at that so we don't create non-conforming parcels. In fact, every opportunity we have to make them conforming, to change it, I think we should do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Blau. Commissioner Cooney.
So, Mr. Chair, just to formalize the motion, it would be to adopt the recommendations and procedures set forth for the Commission on page 2 of its staff report dated May 4, 2016, including the findings in paragraph 1, the recommendations to the board in paragraph 2, and also the adoption of the resolution in attachment C and so on as set forth on page 2.
And I'll just confirm my second.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Okay, David, we're ready for roll call.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Commissioner Cooney.
Aye.
Commissioner Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Blau.
Aye.
Chair Farini.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned.
So, Mr. Chair, next week, I just want you to remember this meeting, because next week will be long, so I just want you to remember this meeting next week. And I wanted to let the Commission know your binders are ready, but you went so quickly that I don't think David has gotten the winery ordinance printed. So he will email it out and we'll send it to you if you'd like, but it's not a very long document, so I think it's probably emailable. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we're adjourned.